Support WrestleTalk!
Donate on Patreon.
It was quite the week for NXT call-ups in WWE following Survivor Series, with Raw and SmackDown getting 5 new faces to bolster the women's division. On Raw, the returning Paige brought in her new backup Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose, while SmackDown Live saw a new trio debut with Ruby Riot leading Sarah Logan and Liv Morgan. This is a really interesting post-Big Four pay-per-view round of call-ups, as it was all focused on the women's division. Not a single male wrestler was brought up from NXT to the main roster, with the exception of Hideo Itami to 205 Live, but let's be honest, that doesn't really count. This influx of talent has suddenly made both Raw and SmackDown's women's division seem interesting again. You would have thought the debut of Asuka would have done that for Raw, but WWE booking has lost all that steam. Suddenly, the stale roster of Bayley, Sasha Banks, and Mickie James fighting for Alexa Bliss's championship seems fresh and different. Charlotte doesn't just have to face off against Natalya again. Now, NXT call-up shouldn't be the all-encompassing answer to roster issues, as Bayley and Sasha Banks should feel far from stale, but this was a much needed injection. There are some raised eyebrows over their debuts, however. On Raw, it's quite clear that Paige has brought in Deville and Rose to be her backup on her quest for the Raw Women's Championship. And there is a connection between the three, as Paige was a judge on the season of Tough Enough Deville and Rose competed on. Over on SmackDown Live, there appears to be some association with Daniel Bryan, who coyly answered no comment about their destructive debut. But it can't help but feel like a cheap imitation, especially as both groups look very similar. Some have theorized that Paige has masterminded this whole endeavor, which one would hope, as otherwise this is the worst case of copy and paste booking WWE has ever done. Others have asked why the likes of Deville, Morgan, and Logan have been called up over more established and developed talent like the Iconic Duo or Nikki Cross. However, I would argue that Cross should be part of a sanity call-up, and the Iconic Duo are so strong together they don't need anyone around them to shine. One also has to assume that Peyton Royce and Billie Kay are going to be the next feud for new NXT Women's Champion Ember Moon. The developmental brand losing 5 female wrestlers also allows those who competed in the Mae Young Classic to get a chance to shine in NXT. Great characters like Bianca Belair, Dakota Kai, Abby Lath, and Rhea Ripley, who then hopefully will get their call up to the main roster down the line. It's been rumored all year long that the WWE would be doing the first ever 20-woman Royal Rumble in January 2018, and these debuts would suggest that's the direction. These 5 new faces have brought the women's roster across both brands to 20 in-ring wrestlers, 21 if you include Lana. Obviously, SmackDown Live Women's Champion Charlotte and Raw Women's Champion Alexa Bliss won't be competing in the Rumble, but that allows for surprise entrants like Nikki Bella, and even legend spots for Kelly Kelly or Michelle McCool. Now, there are some downsides to all of this. When Becky Lynch, Sasha Banks, and Charlotte debuted on the main roster as part of teams, they didn't instantly get over. In fact, it wasn't until those teams split apart they were able to shine individually and gain any sort of momentum. There's also a question of whether some of them, Liv Morgan in particular, were brought up too early and could have used more time in NXT to grow. With Sonya Deville, her MMA gimmick is very weak in comparison to Shayna Baszler, a genuine MMA competitor. It will only get worse if the rest of the 4 horsewomen join WWE and make her gimmick seem even less believable. And of course, there is that worry that these teams aren't connected and this is all really bad, lazy copy and paste booking. But hey, we could get a team stare down moment in the Royal Rumble like Nexus and The Core. So there's always that to look forward to. Let's look on the bright side though. For the first time in some time, both the Raw and SmackDown Live women's divisions seem interesting again. And maybe, just maybe, with all of these women on the main roster, WWE could book more than one storyline for the girls per show. One can only dream. Have WWE failed to create new stars in their men's division? And did Hulk Hogan really sue WCW over a storyline? Click the videos to the left to find out more. Press subscribe and support WrestleTalk on Patreon. I have been Luke Owen, and that was just my opinion.